Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about whether or not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still labeled as underdogs going into this upcoming season. And this has been something that a lot of people have been wanting me to talk about for a good bit now, because we've seen a lot of the national media talk very glowingly about teams in the NFC, but the Bucs haven't always been one of those teams. I do feel like the national media has been giving Baker Mayfield pretty due respect and saying like, hey, he did revive his career. That is awesome. But a lot of people are not having the Bucs as the favorite to win the NFC South, as one of the teams who's had one of the better off seasons, as a team that is expected to improve. In fact, a lot of people have the Bucs regressing this upcoming season, which I think is kind of surprising. A lot of people feel like the Bucs very much overexceeded expectations last year, and that's not going to continue, to the point where we've even heard Jason Light talk about it, where he said, oh, we love being underdogs, and things along those lines. So I wanted to dive in a bit deeper into this and kind of discover or talk about the why that may be the case and if that is true. One reason it could be the case, because a lot of people are putting a lot of stock in the Atlanta Falcons this upcoming season. The Atlanta Falcons had a very interesting offseason. They do have their new quarterback in Kirk Cousins, who they signed in free agency to a 4-year big money type of deal. They have added a couple of other pieces throughout the offseason as well, but of course the biggest one is being Kirk Cousins. However, on the flip side of that, they then drafted a quarterback with the number 8 overall pick in Michael Penix Jr., which, might not have been the best idea to do with that number 8 overall pick. However, this hasn't stopped a lot of people from putting the Falcons well into the top odds to win the NFC South and to make the playoffs. And in even some cases, you have them winning at astronomically better odds than some of the other teams in that mix. Ultimately, we don't know how the Falcons are going to do. A lot of people are also very much hyping up the hiring of Raheem Morris, the hiring of Zach Robinson, the Falcons' new offensive coordinator. We're going to have to wait and see how that process goes over there in Atlanta before I can deem any type of judgment on how they are or aren't going to do. Yes, I will agree that the Atlanta Falcons signing of Kirk Cousins was fantastic, but I heavily disagree with the drafting of Michael Penix Jr. at number 8. If this was a scenario where they took a different player at number 8, say a pass rusher or another wide receiver, I may tend to agree with some folks that the Falcons, you could have them, at least on paper, as the best team, the most likely team to win the NFC South. But right now, I think it's very much up in the air, especially after that Penix pick. Like, that was a very wasted opportunity, in my opinion, for the Falcons. A lot of teams have also, in some cases, been hyping up the New Orleans Saints over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's very interesting to me. I think that New Orleans had some good moments last year, all things considered. They did get rid of Pete Carmichael, their offense coordinator. I can't remember who they brought in. Let's see if we can see that. They brought in Clint Kubiak, a guy who I have a lot of respect for in terms of what he can do. But this roster for the Saints has lost a few guys. They have. They have lost a few guys. Were they able to replace a lot of those guys? I'm not too sure. You have Derek Carr in there at quarterback still. How is he going to be? It's another scenario where like a lot of it is going to, ride on the quarterback here. If Derek Carr succeeds, maybe you do see some success. He doesn't have a ton of weapons around him, though. Like, you've got Chris Olave. Seems to be kind of it. Like, Foster Moreau's a bit of an interesting tight end. You lost some pieces at the offensive line. I feel like this Saints team has gotten a bit worse than better. Like, yes, you did bring in Chase Young on the defensive side of things, which is a bit of an interesting signing, but this is still a Saints team that I think lost more than it gained this past offseason. And it's going to be interesting to see how they do. It's going to be interesting to see how they move forward. This one, I don't super understand as much with some people firmly ranking the Saints above the Bucs. I think it is definitely not as cut and dry as that. And then finally you have the Bucs themselves, who have added not a lot of new faces, but have retained a lot of pieces. They have certainly lost significantly less, in my opinion, than, say, the New Orleans Saints, and they've kept their best players around. So I do think that there is an underrated underdog type of feeling here with the Bucs. A lot of people are expecting, the guys to regress. Baker Mayfield to regress. The defense to regress. Just Antoine Winfield Jr. to regress. Like all these different types of guys are expected to regress, apparently. And I just don't necessarily agree with that. I think that the Bucs are in a good position. They have added some new interesting pieces, albeit not a ton, but like Graham Barton, I think can have a huge impact. I think Jalen McMillan can have a decent impact. The defensive side of things, in the offensive side of things, where you're going to see impact is by bringing all the different types of guys back. So I do think the Bucs are being underrated this year, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I just don't. You're looking at a team that won the NFC South last year, won a playoff game last year as well, and it wouldn't surprise me if this team did have double-digit wins. I've had them as such, winning double-digit games. So it is interesting to see what the national media has been saying, but the Bucs thrive in those types of situations, so we'll just have to wait and see. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Do you think the Bucs are underdogs? Do you think they are overrated? Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. As always, guys, I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now. See you soon. So we're still going to be making a lot of content here on the channel. And go Bucs.